Welcome back to the Former Critics Podcast, the place where we talk about all things entertainment from the lens of a former critics. I don't know, maybe we'll change that to plural
What if I just
eventually.
left the call?
But today we're going to be talking about Nathan Fielder again.
Our favorite.
Yeah, because you told me to get caught up on Nathan for you in the rehearsal, and so
Yeah.
I did.
Literally, this is first and foremost a science-based podcast, but second, a Nathan Fielder-based podcast.
I mean, literally, um honestly, when you told me to check out Nathan for you and then we put it on, I didn't think we were gonna like um binge it all in like a couple of days, but we just ended up sitting there and watching the entire thing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's insane to me that you watched The Curse without knowing like who Nathan Fielder was and also not liking Emma Stone at the time.
Right. Well, I
Second,
had seen Nathan for you like clips here and there, but I never like really dove into the show.
where did you watch it on, by the way? Was it Paramount Plus?
Uh, yeah, I guess, or something like that. Yeah. I
They're missing a few episodes on Paramount Plus, including like my favorite. You didn't see the hot dog stand one, did you?
No, I don't know if
Where
that's
they can cut in line.
no, I don't think we watched that one.
I think it's on YouTube. It's amazing. It's literally like Nathan's idea to help the business. It's like it's a hot dog stand that has like a really long lines all the time.
Right.
If you can prove that you have like an appointment or like an emergency, he lets you cut in line. So like people it's like it's Nathan Fielder, so it's obviously like such a poorly thought out scheme. So people will like just lie to get to the front. And
Right.
then Nathan Fielder, like there's one customer who's like clearly lying and Nathan Fielder like lets him cut, but then he stalks him like throughout the rest of the day. And he says he's gonna go to Doctor's Win, but he really goes to the movie theater and stuff. So Nathan
Right.
like rents out an entire cruise for him, like a boat, like on a yacht, and he's like, "You are our 1 millionth customer, so we're gonna like give you a surprise." And then he takes only that customer out on this cruise, and then he has a bunch of people like that he cut in line, like waiting behind a curtain. And Nathan like gives him like like the tin of food that butlers carry that have like the lid over it.
Yeah.
Like he gives him one of he brings out one of those and he's like, I hope you're hungry for nothing. And then he opens it and then he's like, go. And then they
Oh
drop the
my
curtain and like all
God.
the people are like waiting behind and they're like yelling at it. Like, it's literally so good. It's on YouTube.
How does he like come up with these like schemes? And like it's just nuts.
I think Nathan Fielder has the brain that like an idealized version of me has,
Right.
but realistically, I could never.
It's like they like the business owners in that show like must have just been like, yeah, we'll just go along. I can't imagine that every single business owner just like was 100% cool with everything, but they probably were like, we're just getting exposure from this, so we'll just keep going
Yeah.
with it.
I mean, I know a lot of what was like left on the cutting room floor, and like I don't know much about behind the scenes, but I know like each season progressively did get like a lot harder for them to film just because like
Right.
his reputation was spreading so much. Which is why like if you kind of notice like season four is like less focused on businesses and all about like bigger projects like the Uber
Yeah.
thing and
Yeah.
whatever like oh the Jimmy Kimmel
Oh
appearance
my
which is
God,
like
yeah,
one
that
of
was
my favorite
wild.
episodes. Yeah, he had to like he couldn't keep like trolling businesses basically. Um which is why he kind of ended it like when he did. There wasn't much room for it to keep going.
The Starbucks thing is just absolutely insane. The dumb Starbucks bit.
Yeah. I did like the progression where it's like season one is like he's just trolling like businesses and like I kind of
Yeah.
like I don't know like I go back and forth like he's kind of mean to people like
Yeah, but I love that.
but also like I feel bad because like these are generally like businesses that are like actually struggling and like probably
Right.
applied like for sincere help. But
Yeah.
I don't know. In my head, like again, I didn't do like any research about like behind the scenes basically, but like in my head, like after things play out, like they explain the bit and like, I'm sure they get
Yeah.
like appearance fees and stuff. I'm sure they get paid to be on the show, basically.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I'm completely making it up.
Well, I heard like a lot of reality shows do like um well, I guess it's not like a reality show, but like a show like that, they usually end up like paying people to be on it.
Yeah.
Like paying them like an appearance fee or something, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, I saw this show when it was airing, like back in like it was college for me, so like 2013, 2014 or so, like around
Right.
the era.
Yeah.
And I didn't fully like comprehend what I was watching. I knew it was making me laugh and scream simultaneously. But I think like this show like generally like was foundational to like my sense of humor, honestly, because like I watched it like before my brain was fully formed, and I think like it
Right.
genuinely did like influence the chemistry in my brain about like how I see like humor and like cringe as a concept.
It's insane to me that he like was able to do this and just like get like real businesses to sign up to, to like be on this show and just like and then just like on top of like all of that, I loved like the aspects of him like bringing back like bits throughout the show, like the security guard that was like
Yeah.
sexually harassing people, he kept bringing him back. The guy, the ending thing like with Francis was
Finding
wild.
Francis, by the way, needs to be like 75% of this discussion because that Finding Francis, I'm gonna say, is the best episode of television I've ever seen.
It's absolutely insane.
Do you agree, or are you like in that stratosphere?
Yeah, it was, well, I didn't realize it was like a little bit of like a movie. It was like a
Oh
TV
yeah.
movie. It was like an hour and a half long.
And I think like by the way, even if like you had scripted it out, which I'm sure like by the way, like huge chunks of it were like scripted out and like manipulated behind the scenes. Um but even if it wasn't 100% scripted, like it would have been an amazing piece of television. It had like a full like musical number, like it had like
Yeah.
like drama between the two main characters and stuff and like an actual like theme and arc for both of the two main characters. But just the fact that like this is like real life stuff, and Nathan, like how many like little schemes went into this big scheme, like like creating the fundraiser or like the
Yeah.
class reunion and like the fake the Mud 2 sequel and stuff like that. Like it was just a masterpiece. It was
Yeah.
definitely like the culmination of like everything the show had been.
I mean, honestly, it was like his magnum opus at that point until the rehearsal
Yeah.
became like
Um,
his next step.
And I will say, like I saw it when I was airing a year ago. This was like my first time revisiting it recently.
Right.
When it was airing, like I really didn't miss, or I really missed that like this show, Nathan for You overall, like had an overall like story arc, and it was like
Right.
Nathan finding like legitimate human connection.
Right.
And it's seeded into the shows like pretty early on. Like Nathan always does bits where at the end, like he like asks like the business owners if they want to like hang out or like be his friend or like
Yeah.
what they think of him and stuff, and
Yeah.
and then like it just keeps building and building, and like I think the hero is an important episode in that arc, and it kind of ends with him and like the escort, I guess, at the end of finding Francis.
Right.
Where he kind of realizes like, hey, like this show, like me creating this show that is like so like impersonal and like me playing a character is like truly impacting like who I am as a person.
Yeah. I feel like I don't that whole show was just it was like a fever dream like revisiting it and
Yeah.
just like seeing how the honestly like for example there was Trisha Paytas before she like became who Trisha like the Trisha Paytas who she is now was on the show
Wait, I forget which episode.
Um, in the security guard one where he's
Oh,
like
she
sexually
was.
harassing people, he like brings, he's like, oh, this is my, Nathan's like, this is my friend. Um, like I just
Yeah.
want you to like go ask her out on a date or something.
Okay.
And
No, I do
it's
remember that.
Bishop Anus.
I remember thinking like, is that her? And then like I didn't care enough to like do anything further because I actually don't know like who she is except for recognizing her. But
Yeah, well, it's just like insane that he like I don't know was just so I feel like on the pulse of things like even back then
yeah.
and just like
Yeah.
bringing people together. I don't know, just it was a wild concept and I feel like it worked for the amount of time that it was on at least.
What are your favorite episodes or bits that he did? Like
The
top three.
well, the Best Buy one was fucking hilarious. Like where he literally went out on a date with this girl
Yeah.
dressed up as like an emo Hot Topic guy.
That's in my top three. Absolutely.
And then the alligator like in the
Oh my
room.
God, it was so good. I feel like by the way, like obviously like anyone listening is like they better have seen the show or else they're just like these guys are just like on mushrooms or something.
Yeah. Um, well, actually, yeah. Anyone that's listening to this should go watch it if you haven't yet,
It's
because
on Paramount Plus.
it's a funny it's a funny show and it's a cool concept of a show.
It's a funny show, it's a cool concept, and also like it has like a genuine message behind it that like
Yeah.
he's explored later on in like the rehearsal and the curse, just like his relationship with TV and like
Yeah.
sincerity versus like, being fake, putting on a persona.
I mean, it wasn't there, you know what, when we were watching Nathan For You, there was a bit that he did. Speaking of the curse, like he did a bit where he was in, it was like in, like a parking lot somewhere, and there was like a kid, and he was like offering the kid money to do
Oh,
something.
really?
And I was just remembering, I was like, this is just like the curse, like in the beginning.
I forget that. I thought you were gonna say like the ghost realtor
Right.
and like how she was like apparently cursed. And she ran with that, by the way. She literally like pitched her own show about like like being just a ghost realtor,
Um,
which by the way I'd watch.
the one episode where he well what is it? He like asks the lady if he could like be in her will at the end.
Yeah. Who? Oh, the old like I think she owned a diner or something.
Yeah. Like
He's
what?
like he's like I feel like I'm your son and she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Well, if I'm your son, is there any way I can, be in your will?" And she's like,
That's literally me like
"Oh,
talking to you.
like I have to ask my daughter, but sure."
Yeah, that
Like
was
has her
absolutely
though.
wild. And the
Yeah.
dumb Starbucks episode is top tier, I think. That was like one of the best things he's ever done.
Dumb Starbucks was good, though. It legitimately, I feel really bad for the owner of like the original coffee shop because
Yeah.
he seemed like a pretty sincere guy. I think he was very justified in how like upset he got because,
Right.
like Nathan like really was playing with fire, like
Yeah.
in a legal sense there. And like I feel like the guy just legitimately wanted help with like his small independent coffee shop. So I always feel bad for that guy. But yeah, no, that the whole idea and like the success Nathan had with it was, I think that by the way was like the turning point for the show because Nate like that was in the news. Like people
Yeah.
like that leaked into the mainstream, and then that's how people kind of like found out about like who Nathan Fielder is, and
Yeah.
it made like going forward, I think much trickier for him.
True. Because well, I liked how like he just kept doing crazy things and then it would end up like in the local news somewhere or like
Yeah.
some news station would pick it up.
Or the Diarrhea Times would pick it up.
Yeah.
Or the Diarrhea Times.
Or he had like a running kind of like a running bit where he would be like, "Oh yeah," and then at the beginning he would be like, "Oh, this story got picked up by this straight bodybuilding website. He kept saying
Yeah.
that. They just kept like reporting on his like little bits.
Yeah. Um, my one of my favorite episodes is the gas station rebate.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's so funny. The ending of
That is
that.
amazing. And like so basically like just to remind people of the plot, like Nathan is
Yeah.
like this gas station is going to offer like super low gas prices if they redeem the rebate, but to do that they have to like climb to like the top of this like very distant mountain, super remote. Like it takes them like hours to climb to the top and like insert their their slip into a box, and that's how they get the rebate. And then like he's surprised that like 20 people like actually attempt to do it and they take like a bus out, so he has to like keep giving them like a series of riddles and like obstacles to overcome in order to keep doing it. And literally three people stay until overnight because they want to save. And like it's so funny because like it shows them like how
It's
much
like
money they're
$10.
saving. It's like $15. And it's like three like I don't know, like middle-aged older people who are just like out there
Yeah.
overnight. But it just becomes such a weird like camp kind of thing. Like it reminds me of like kids
Yeah.
at summer camp because they like legitimately bond around like the campfire, and Nathan's like playing pranks on them at night, like the shaving cream thing with that old lady. They're like singing, they're talking about like their divorces and stuff. And then at the end, Nathan's like, this will never end. Like this was a trick from the start, but we found something more like more important than a rebate, and that's friendship. And then they're all
Right.
like, "You're right, Nathan. Like we're all friends now," and they leave. It's so funny, especially because it's like it's manipulative. Like he
Yeah.
manipulated them to that outcome so that they wouldn't get their $30 collectively.
And then like at the end he just like hands him his own gas
Yeah.
station rebate.
And
That is
yeah, he gets that
iconic.
money, and then like the gas station owner for some reason is talking about drinking his grandson's pee
Yeah.
for like health benefits, and that's like that's one of like I think two or three times in the entire show that Nathan breaks character, and he's literally like, "What are you talking about?" Because someone else on the mountain also mentioned drinking like young kids' pee for health benefits.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of stuff. Like
Uh,
I don't believe that was scripted. Just like how it played
yeah.
out. Like
That was just too
yeah,
funny.
yeah. So just gold.
Um,
The other time he broke character, by the way, is the ghost realtor again when she's having the exorcism and she
right.
like is actually like something actually happens there. Like she may have just actually been exorcised of a demon. And like Nathan is like, "Are you hurting her?" Because she's like screaming and like shaking on the ground.
But yeah. The the bit where he pretends to be this like guy who wants to like like get a girlfriend or something, and then he's like tight roping at the end over like two
Yeah.
buildings.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, that episode is like so interesting to me. And I like how he keeps like consistently scaling up what he attempts to do. You know,
Yeah,
like season one kind of culminated with like the claw machine, like
right.
that would pull his pants down in front of like an audience of children if he didn't like escape fast enough.
Yeah.
Season two was dumb Starbucks, and then season three was like, I'm gonna take over a person's life for like a month or whatever and make them like a national hero and then leave. And then like that episode, he kind of realizes like I could get a girlfriend while I'm playing a character, and I could like, you know, raise awareness
Yeah.
for breast cancer. And I could do all these cool things like while I'm somebody else, like someone who's not genuine to myself. But like when he's Nathan himself, he can't do that, or at least that's the narrative he's implying.
Yeah. And then he like goes out and he like pretends to like go clubbing with like the guy's like prosthetics on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that guy is like that guy that he did that to, because like that girl like is gonna see like she's gonna like see herself like on TV. So
Yeah.
his whole like relationship probably got ruined. But he's like this like wholesome guy because Ashley and I like found him on Instagram.
Okay, I'm glad you did because like I didn't, but like what is he up to now?
He's just like some guy that just like cuts wood, like fucking trees down and shit. He's like a
Does he have
normal
like
guy.
a does he have like a lot of followers or like no? I doubt
No,
it. Yeah.
he's just
That's
like
funny.
some random guy, and it's not even like he's not even like trying to like um harness the fact that he was like on TV or anything.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't either if that was my appearance. But no, he did break up with that girl because he said like did you see the reunion or like the not the reunion but like the celebration episode?
Remind me.
It's like they go back to a bunch of old episodes, including that one, and just like catch up with people. Like he catches up with like Brian Wolf because he found like the porn magazine that Brian Wolf
Oh,
was in
right.
the investigator. Um, but yeah, no, that guy, I think his name was Corey or something, but he broke up
Yeah.
with the girlfriend that Nathan got for him because he was like, I felt really guilty about like it being built entirely on lies.
Well, yeah, that's I don't know. He just seemed like a regular wholesome guy.
Yeah.
Um, okay, the bit where he like builds this little kid, like a soundproof box, and then has like porn actors do like an orgy.
Yeah, I was hoping to avoid that one.
That was absolutely insane, like jaw-dropping. Like, what the fuck?
He really pushed the boundaries, and those poor parents, like how he brought them into the room to demonstrate. I was like, oh, Nathan.
They're just like watching. That was absolutely nuts. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, he does like he really toes the line sometimes. And like genuinely, like I said before, like it does make me uncomfortable
Yeah,
sometimes, but that's like obviously the point, and that's like something that he like leans into a lot with the rehearsal and the curse.
I mean, true. Um, well, do you want to get into the rehearsal?
Wait. We need to talk about finding Francis.
Oh, right, right. Well, we touched on it, but yeah, a wild episode.
Finding Francis, which, like, by the way, single-handedly turned me into a ding dong daddy from Dumas.
Right. I just
Uh,
that was like one of because that was like one of the long running bits he did with like this guy who was like a Bill Gates impersonator, like a fake Bill Gates impersonator. And I
yeah,
just love that it's just like that guy in the end.
he was on like season 2 or 3 or something, and like presented himself to Nathan as a Bill Gates impersonator. Was never that good, and now retroactively that makes a lot of sense because as we find out during the course of this episode, like he just never w really was that.
Yeah, he was like lying the whole time.
He lied. Um, but yeah, no, this episode was amazing. It just to, like give like a little bit of a plot summary. Like it was like this old guy. Like how old would you say he is? Like at least 80, right?
Yeah, he
Maybe
was really old. Maybe like
in his
70s.
70s. Yeah,
Yeah.
70s, I would say. But he like made it like a couple appearances earlier in the show as like a Bill Gates impersonator. And then apparently, at least the way the episode presents it, like he just keeps showing up to like the office just to like hang out and stuff.
Right.
And Nathan's like kind of like fascinated by him, and I like that they kind of had like a personal relationship through the show, which is just so funny. Um, but he keeps mentioning like his girlfriend from like literally high school named
Right.
Frances.
Yeah.
And I like I the way I interpret it, like he's hoping to get Nathan to like use his resources to find her, but like he doesn't want to
Yeah.
ask directly. But I don't, that's just like obviously this is a very highly edited product, but like it just seemed to me like he wanted Nathan to offer without asking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's
Um,
kind of like what the show like culminated into in the end.
yeah. And they spent like literally weeks apparently in like I don't know, like the what state were they in?
Like Arizona,
Somewhere
maybe?
somewhere yeah. Like they go to Arizona because that's where they grew up, and then it turns out she's in Michigan and she like was married twice.
Yeah,
But they go to Arizona, they infiltrate like his old high school to find a yearbook photo of her,
right.
by pretending to film like a fake movie, like the sequel to Mud.
Yeah,
Um, they gather like old classmates who may know her by throwing like a fake reunion, and they they have the Bill Gates impersonator play like or like assume the identity of like a high school student or who like
right.
passed away or something. And he goes in with like an entire like script and backstory, and then sings "Daddy" from Ding Dong Dumas or whatever.
Yeah, that was iconic.
What is the lyric? Like, I'm a ding dong daddy from Dumas. Now watch me do my thing. And it's just like that. It's just like a dance breakdown.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. They like showed up to like the lady's house that they thought it was. It was like some other name lady named Frances
Yeah.
because they like met like her kid, and then it wasn't her.
Yeah. And then they eventually they
Come
do
on.
track her down. They go
Yeah.
to her house. And then oh wait, I want to jump ahead because there's an amazing scene in the middle where Nathan realizes the Bill Gates impersonator was lying about being a Bill Gates impersonator for years.
Yeah.
And then Nathan's kind of like he's like,
Is he
okay,
lying
like
about everything?
is he lying about Francis? And then he's like, you think I'm a stalker? And gives him like the weirdest
Yeah.
smile of all time.
Uh,
And it's just like silence. Like there's like tense music playing, and Nathan's like and also one of my favorite quotes of all time because they're eating peanuts, and then like after he says he's just like, "Here I go, diving in again," and he like eats the peanuts, and I just feel like that line like couldn't have been, it wouldn't have been. You can't script that line. It means
yeah.
so much on so many different levels. You a writer couldn't have come up with that.
You, I definitely like after watching Nathan for You All Together, by the way, like I definitely see like where I feel like your humor kind of comes into play. I can see
Yeah.
why you really like the show, you know?
No, I think I don't know. Like I feel like I've always been a little cringe, and I Nathan Fielder was like the person who made me realize you can turn cringe into art
Right.
and own a little bit of your cringe. So I think he empowered me to become the cringe artist that I am today.
Cringe artist.
Yeah. I'm also like not that, by the way,
Right. I'm just a cringe artist.
but Nathan Fielder made me feel like I could be.
But they end up going to Francis's house,
Right. And
you
never
know?
go again.
Yeah, they just call her from outside.
And Nathan's like tell her who you are, because he talks to her for like 5 minutes and it's creepy because he's like, guess who this is? It's
Yeah, it
just
was so awkward. That happened, that went on for so long. He was just like, "So do you know who this is?" And she's like, "No." And she's like trying to like go through like different people it could be.
yeah. And
Oh my
like
God.
their conversation on the phone is probably like 10 minutes long, and it's just like it's
Yeah.
literally just like two old people like kind of catching up, like
Yeah.
who used to date, I guess. Like I don't the it's I feel like we'll never know definitively what happened, like how involved they were.
Right.
I guess actually no, they were probably pretty serious for a time because like she wrote him like very intense letters.
Yeah, and she like once she realized like who it was and when he said who it was, she was like, "Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
like who
Yeah,
you
no,
are and all
yeah, yeah, true.
that."
But I just loved, it was amazing like how climactic it was. Like it literally like if it wasn't in a TV show, you'd just be listening to like two old people like catching up and be like, oh hey, but like
Right.
in this episode, it's so like emotionally charged and like climactic.
Yeah. Um, and then yeah, I love how like Nathan's like, yeah, like ask him like if you can like go in and see.
Yeah.
and
And
he
he
just
just
never does.
doesn't want to because I think he realizes they're never gonna get married because by the way they also rehearse this like Nathan hires actors and rents out like a stage or something to like
Yeah,
rehearse them meeting um literally laying the foreground for like the rehearsal and at first like the Bill Gates I forget his real name like Bill Gates like his strategy was to walk in and be like I'm gonna marry you and like just demand
right.
that she divorces her like husband. Like extremely aggressive and they kind of like talk him down from that. So
Yeah.
thankfully.
And and yeah, she was just like, yeah, like I'm married, and he's just like,
She
yeah.
has like 9 grandchildren.
Yeah. Like he hasn't seen this lady in like 50 years. Like, what did he expect?
Yeah. Yeah, what happened there? Like we need to like from him graduating high school, going to Hollywood till now, like I need to know the history of like what the
Yeah.
hell happened there.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then it just kind of ends like, you know, with them like not meeting.
With
But
them
they
not meeting.
but not meeting. Yeah.
But I think like some closure at least is like obtained.
Yeah.
Uh, and then they also have like this amazing and beautiful subplot where like Nathan starts hanging out with his escort, and then like
Right.
they like keep hanging out, but like we as viewers never truly know like okay, like is she still in character? Like is it still for like pay? Like and literally the final scene is her saying like oh we should turn off the cameras and like a drone like zooms out. Best shot in television history.
That's a bold claim. But
Care to disagree?
yeah, I love how he like goes, he's like taking her on like a date, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I thought there was a lake here." And it's just like a trucks.
Yeah. They just hang out like watching like trucks that are like not moving, just like in like some weird field somewhere.
But yeah, and then it just kind of ends with that. But I
That's where
felt
we
like
leave
that was
them.
the perfect thing for that show because it's like it was like it literally it really was like everything that he was doing throughout the rest of the season, just like all in like one big
Yeah.
bit.
I would say like throughout the rest of the show. And I love how like the last episode it wasn't about like a business. It was literally about like helping a person like
Right.
establish something genuine and real. And like that was, like the arc that we didn't even know Nathan was building toward until like it actually happened. But like the rest of the show makes so much sense with like that
Right.
context.
And yeah, well maybe it wasn't like I don't think it was like planned. Like I don't think this was like a planned. I think they just kind of ended up it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because like the show is like kind of it started out as like him helping businesses, and then it kind of became something else. And I feel like that also happened with the rehearsal.
because how else could they have like like he just met the Bill Gates impersonator like entirely by chance,
Yeah, like through like a
and
Craigslist ad or something.
it just went from there. So yeah, definitely wasn't scripted. I would love to watch like behind the scenes, but I
Right,
also almost don't want to like do that and like because it could potentially like ruin it for me.
right.
Um, I'd rather just let it be what it is, which is one of my favorite pieces of art that I've ever seen,
I mean, honestly.
and maintain like
Um,
whatever mystique there is around it.
but that episode also kind of set the stage for him to return in his next series, The Rehearsal,
Yes.
where he has to like he's like helping people out in doing big like life-changing events, but rehearsing them beforehand in like a
Yeah.
really controlled environment.
Yeah. I saw this as it aired. You saw it recently. So give like a recap and synopsis of like whatever happens.
Right. Well, he starts out and he builds like this the first I'm pretty sure it's the first episode. He is helping out this guy where he literally ends up building like a whole replica sized bar in like a
Yeah.
warehouse somewhere. And um then he helps this guy out. There's unforeseen circumstances. This guy kind of like ends up doing things that they didn't rehearse.
Hmm.
Um, because people are, humans are like kind of unpredictable. You can't like figure out every single detail. So Nathan kind of wanted to he ended up like trying to do that though. He wanted to not miss any details. And he went into like his next thing where he became, or he was helping somebody out that was like, I don't even know. He was holding like a class or something and like teaching people how, I don't even know. Like it was just so insane. It was like he was like teaching this class, and then it ends up like he ends up with like a lot of problems because he realized that he was just like telling these people like how to do something without really showing them or really explaining it well.
Are
So
you talking about the Fielder method?
yeah, yeah,
What
the
was the
fielder,
Fielder method again? Remind me what that was.
uh, like his rehearsal process, I guess.
Because he was doing rehearsals to teach people about rehearsals, right?
Yeah, and
And
then
then he was like setting them off to do rehearsals.
he literally was like he hired like actors to redo his fielder method class where he was one of the people, and he had like a t-shirt and they just did it like word for word.
So that he could rehearse teaching people about rehearsals.
Yeah, and he just became like obsessed with this one guy and
Yeah,
was
and he like
just
I remember that. He takes over like a student's life, right? Like literally
yeah,
like goes into his house and
yeah, he was like, okay, so I want you to like, you're gonna stay with like these people and like do this. You're gonna live as like your guy that you're rehearsing as, and you're gonna stay like in his life. And then he just took over his life and lived like in his apartment.
but the whole thing culminates with him like getting like this basically like a farmhouse or like whatever, like in the middle of nowhere, right? And like rehearsing with this one lady to have her
Right.
to raise her baby or something.
Yeah, and then it kind of ends up do he kind of ends up going into that. And yeah, she was like gonna try to like have a baby, but she ends up being like this crazy, like insane religious nut job lady, and everything just kind of goes off the rails while he's like doing it. They end up fighting and bickering, and she just leaves in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and it
I
turns
wouldn't go
into his
that
own.
far. I wouldn't call her like crazy or anything. Like she definitely like she lived in her own reality, but like
I mean,
she wasn't malicious, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like she genuinely believed
yeah,
what her
whatever was,
beliefs
yeah,
were
yeah,
and like saw that like Nathan was like kind of filming a show and like taking his own direction and she was like I don't know like I left with respect for her because she was like okay like I get you're doing a TV show and like I get it but I'm gonna do like my own thing, you know what I mean? Like she
right.
didn't go crazy, she was respectful.
Yeah, and then Nathan kind of takes it to like the next level where she was like this she was this not crazy religious lady,
Yeah.
and she had her own religious beliefs, but Nathan is Jewish, and he wanted to, because he just assumed the role as like this it's like father in this storyline. And so he's like, well, if we're raising this kid together, I'm gonna make him Jewish secretly.
Oh, no.
And just brings him to like these Jewish class. And it's like the kid actors. He's like bringing these kid actors into like these Jewish schools. And they literally like had like a whole scene like towards the end where like the one kid's parents was like they like came back and they were like, "Can you tell him this was all like made up and he's like not like like a Jewish
Well,
kid?"
one kid gets really attached to Nathan, doesn't he? And like wants
Yeah,
him
and
to
that's
be
like a
his
whole
real
other bit.
dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
That was
yeah.
sad. I don't know. That made me feel
Yeah,
weird.
because he had like no, he didn't have a father figure and he what this was like his first real acting role, I guess, and then he kind of assumed that this was like real life and not just acting.
Yeah, but like that probably only happened because Nathan like pushed it so far to like
Yeah,
beyond
exactly.
like a normal set. You know what I mean? Like a full life rehearsal.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it became. It came because it and the lady that I called crazy, like she left and she stated this when she was leaving that she thought that this turned into Nathan's rehearsal and not her rehearsal, which it did
Exactly.
actually
Yeah.
become. So she was kind of
Yeah.
right. She was kind of like right on the money though, like that he it turned into like his own life lesson or a rehearsal for his own life because he had
I,
like a wife before this and he wanted to like have a kid and yeah.
I think that's why I liked her so much because she saw that she was in a Nathan for You sketch and
Right.
like very amicably handled it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, she wasn't like too insane. It was just like some of the things that she was doing in the show just like for
Yeah.
me was just a
The
little
the re the
nuts.
reason I'm defensive about her is because like I remember like as the show was airing like episode by episode like on Reddit people were like tearing her apart and stuff
Right.
and like they were all predicting like oh she's gonna go crazy and stuff and then she just didn't like
Yeah.
she has her own beliefs that she projects into the real world but she also respects that other people do as well, you know, so
Right. And yeah, and then it just kind of became like Nathan's own rehearsal for his own
yeah,
life. He
for
literally
his own
brought the
life, yeah.
bar, like the bar that he built there.
I love that he spent his free time like socializing in like a fake bar on like a film set.
Yeah,
Like
insane.
that's where he would go.
But that show, like, we didn't, when we were watching it, we didn't realize that it would turn into that. Like, we thought it was like, okay, he was going to be doing these like things where he's like helping people again and with these rehearsal bits. But then as
Yeah.
the show was like progressing and it just kept going further and further and turning into like Nathan's his own unhinged rehearsal. It was just
Yeah, he
wild.
only really does like two or three like actual rehearsals, right? And then turns it
Yeah,
into like the like simulating like living in a house growing like
yeah,
with a growing child. Just like they also would like swap out like what the outside looked like for like passing seasons and like kept hiring like new kids to like simulate the baby growing up and
yeah,
stuff. And
exactly.
yeah.
And what's this is a funny side bit, but we listened to a podcast called This Is Important, and it's the guys from the Workaholics. Like, I don't know if you ever watched that. Like Adam Devine and Blake Anderson.
Yeah.
I don't know, but so we watched that a lot, and on their soundboard that they have, and we didn't realize this, but this for some reason this keeps happening. There's like random things on their soundboard that they never like explained and we never realized what they were from. And they just keep appearing like we keep like watching stuff and like it's like we realize like, oh, that's that sound bit. And
Mhm.
in the rehearsal, there's a point where the older kid, he's like, "You're a fucking disaster, my guy," and then he
Oh
storms
yeah.
off, and they have that on their soundboard.
Yeah, amazing bit. I was gonna say if we ever get a soundboard, the very first key has to be Ding Dong Daddy from Dumas.
Right.
And
Oh
I'm
my
here
God.
to do my thing or whatever it is. I actually typed it down. Let me see.
That's just so funny though.
Oh, I'm a ding dong daddy from Dumas, and you ought to see me do my stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Amazingly
I should
mixed.
clip that and we should try to get it into a soundboard.
Yeah, like I should like for the Patreon, like we should both like do the dance that he did.
That's just the Patreon content that people are going to be getting.
Yeah, subscribe if you want that.
Um, but that's kind of what and the rehearsal's only a couple episodes. It's only like 5 or 6 episodes, I think.
Really? I thought it was like 10.
I thought it was shorter. I mean, maybe I don't think there's a full 10 episodes.
Okay.
But either way, it's definitely like a lot shorter than Nathan for you.
Yeah,
Um, and that's
def
because like
recommend.
everything just kind of goes off the rails at the end.
If you were to rank Nathan for you, the rehearsal, and the curse from best to worst, what order would you put them in?
Uh, well, the curse I really liked in its own, but the curse isn't like a comedy, I guess, right? I mean, it's kind of a
Yeah,
comedy,
no, it's three very different things.
but
I would say
well,
Nate. Okay, no, sorry, what
well,
were you saying?
you give your rating,
Nathan for you first, the curse, the rehearsal.
right? Well, I was gonna say the curse and then Nathan for you, then the rehearsal.
But the rehearsal's still really good.
Yeah.
It's still like a
That
9
doesn't
out of
mean it's
10.
like bad.
Yeah.
I think everyone should check it. I think everyone should watch Nathan for You from front to back and then go right into the rehearsal.
Yeah.
Like what I did.
I'm really excited to see like whatever he does next because whatever it
Yeah.
is always been amazing.
And technically the rehearsal is not canceled. They never canceled it. It's still a show. They like
Didn't
just I'm wondering like because people have been speculating online like if or when it'll come back and like people are just saying like it just takes a while for him to kind of get these like rehearsal bits because they're way more like intensive than Nathan for
yeah.
You.
I mean, rehearsal season two could easily be next. I wouldn't be surprised at all, especially because like for Nathan, for you and the rehearsal, he's very tight-lipped about them until like they're about to like air, basically.
Yeah, true, true.
So I easily see that.
Well, shall we wrap this up with a little bit of talk about The Bear
The
season 3?
Bear, you finished the season.
Yeah, finally.
Gotta
Did you?
say, yeah, gotta say, overall a bummer.
Overall, a bummer? What do you mean?
The Bear is still one of the best shows on TV currently.
Wait,
Maybe the best, actually, now that I think about it, because we don't have Succession anymore. Um, but this was a filler season, and you can't have that.
right. I mean, I do see, I have seen a lot of people say that like they like because there's a lot of backstory and like montages, which I didn't like in Oppenheimer.
You hate montages.
Yeah, even though people were trying to tell me that there's no montages in Oppenheimer. But I
Is
mean,
that me? Was that in my people?
yeah. Um,
Whatever. I
but
literally don't remember Oppenheimer at this point.
the bear, yeah, there is like some montages and like a lot of backstory, but I mean, I do understand that it does kind of feel a little bit filler seasoning, but I don't know. I kind of like how they're like allowing each character to have their own backstory and shine.
Well, that's good. That stuff isn't filler because we're learning new stuff. Like the what's her name? The cook who gets her background when she's looking for a job. Tina.
Right.
Tina,
Yeah.
right? Amazing episode. And plus
Directed by A.O. Edeberry.
amazing episode. That makes sense because she's literally, by the way, speaking of voices of our generation, last episode we forgot to mention her and everyone involved with Bottoms. Actually,
Right.
Bottoms the movie. Um, Amazing
Yeah.
episode. That wasn't filler because we got new information. The pregnancy episode, or the pregnancy, like the giving birth episode, Ice Chips,
Yeah.
also
That
had
was a
me
really good episode.
bawling like crazy for like 45 minutes straight because Jamie Lee Curtis is so amazing in this role.
Right.
And literally, I don't remember the last time I 180'd harder on a character than like her from before, like
Right.
the Fish episode last season to this. Absolutely incredible. Incredible writing, directing, and acting from Jamie Lee Curtis and Abby Elliott, who's like playing Sugar, who's like giving birth in this episode.
Right.
Incredible episode of
Yeah.
TV. Literally, I would go as far as say maybe every other episode is filler.
Um, well, what do you feel about like the plot of like them getting the Michelin star rating? Like throughout the whole season towards the end.
I think my biggest issue was that season one and two set the bar so high, specifically season two, because they both had like such clear marching orders. Where like
Right.
season one was like, we're gonna clean this restaurant up and make it functional. Season two was like, we're gonna swap to fine dining. And season two in particular was so amazing because like the entire thing was designed around like that countdown to when they had to open the restaurant and like have it be functional and stuff.
Right.
Whereas this season, like it doesn't like we know what the plot line's going to be moving forward. You know, like they have the establishment now, they're going after the star, but like
Yeah.
there was like nothing happened. Like they didn't build to anything. Like it just ended like halfway through without anything having been achieved.
Yeah.
And I think, like season one and two, like they both ended with like characters making decisions, specifically Carmi, like season two, like no one will can ever forget like him being locked in the freezer, having a meltdown and ruining everything he built to earn in the previous like 10 episodes or whatever.
Right.
And then this season, a lot of people have been saying like they filmed season three and four back to back, right? So we're getting season four like next year probably. Um, a lot of
Okay.
people have been saying this is season four, like the build up to it. It's
Right.
genuinely not. It's literally a coda, an epilogue to season two, because every major plot point that they have is just them
Y-
reflecting on like what happened the previous season.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I
It doesn't
definitely see
advance.
that.
It doesn't advance the plot. And like I think like what the writers were going for is like at this point in Carmi's life, like he's he's has to reflect on like his
Right.
choices and like does he really want to keep doing this and like actually I think the season finale is actually like pretty beautiful because Olivia Colman is like his mentor in the past and she's like
Right.
I want to live a life and like I can't do that while managing this restaurant anymore. And
Yeah.
so like I think the theme that they were going for was supposed to be like reflection and like obviously like the first episode is like entirely montages of like bits of Carmi's past, but
Yeah.
like it just didn't make a compelling arc of television to watch. And I'm bummed because everything we got visually is amazing, like
Yeah.
edited beautifully. Like I feel like 50% of the runtime of this season was montages, and I love their montages, so it didn't bother me. But yeah, it just like I don't know. If this was
Yeah.
season two caliber, the season finale of this season would have been like a random episode in the middle of the season. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah, no, I definitely see what you mean.
yeah.
Um, I hate John Cena.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know
true.
what the fuck they're doing with John Cena. Get him out of
That
there.
that was yeah, that was and they kept like the
That was
haunting
unbearable.
thing, like whatever
Yeah,
that was, he haunted them. Like why did that really have to be mentioned every episode? Like they just had to keep going with that bit. Like it wasn't that funny.
right. The another guy I hate, Joel McHale. What the fuck? I just hate Joel McHale's face. I don't know. You just
Since when could he act well? Because he was pretty good in this.
what do you mean? Well, I mean, I don't know, I guess. He's just like an asshole. He's just an asshole in real life, so he's just an asshole there too.
Yeah, but like I buy him as like the source of trauma from Carmi, you know what I mean?
Right. Um, and I didn't like hate watching the season. I do like understand like there was not like a lot of advancements of the plot, but I didn't hate this season just
Yeah.
because of like the artistic um I guess choices that they were making. Also, somebody pointed out the parallels between how they kept harping on like the reviews of the restaurant leading up to like the Michelin star thing and how like it just kept like and they just kept getting like negative reviews and like they kept doing like little montages of that and someone was like well that's kind of like a parallel to like the actual review and like in the show it ends with to be continued and it doesn't like go anywhere with that yet and
Yeah.
in they were kind of like oh well that's I don't know it's they were bringing a parallel between how in the show they kept doing all of like the lead up to the Michelin star and all the bad reviews and then the actual season came out and then they were getting a bunch of like bad reviews people saying it's like rushed not good writing like you know what I mean I don't know they were just like showing like the parallels between that which I thought was interesting.
The entire review thing kind of fell flat for me just because so like Uncle Sister or whatever his name is like if you
Yeah.
get a bad review, like I'm not funding this anymore. But
Yeah.
then they get like 50 bad reviews and then they get like 50 good reviews. And then at the end, Carmi's like, "Oh my God, the review's out." And I'm like, I don't get it. Like it didn't have any weight to me because I was like, "But you got so much press the entire season. Like why is
Right.
it this review?" I don't know. Like
Right.
I genuinely like didn't get it.
Do you think that they'll be able to redeem themselves when they come back from the to be continued?
I think so because even though I'm being like so negative, like I still agree with you. Like it was still like great to watch, and I
Right.
literally said like it's still one of the best like shows on TV. But this was a bummer
Right. I
following season
I,
two.
I like how like they I just like that they do have like a lot of character like they're like really in the show like overall that they're really like interested in the characters and how like they interact and I don't know I feel like that might be like a Maddie Matheson kind of touch
Yeah.
because he's like one of the main producers on it.
Yeah, I mean it's good, but also like if like I think episode 7 of this season, it's called like Legacy or something. It's straight
Okay.
up like 5 or 6 like conversations with like different characters. Like it's just like 5 or 6 scenes of characters talking and
Right.
then literally nothing happens. And I was like, what I just watched was like I was into it and I liked it, but I feel like if you cut this season from the show, like it just never aired. Like I don't think anything would be different.
Yeah, true.
And
Yeah, I
that just
definitely
kind
like
of sucks.
agree that they definitely didn't advance the plot too much.
Yeah. I don't know. I think and that coming after season 2, like that's just a very stark, like noticeable difference.
Do you think it had anything to do with the writers strike?
Very, very likely. Yeah.
Just because like that was happening and then I don't know.
I think episode 2 of this season, by the way, it had a runtime of like 22 minutes, and
Right.
literally the first 7 or 8 minutes were like a montage of opening credits.
Right.
It was like
Yeah.
longer than a normal movie would be, and then like 20 more minutes of content, and then it ended.
That's just how the whole season really feels.
Yeah, it was truly like bizarre pacing.
Yeah. Um,
But
well, with that negativity, should we end
I'm
this?
such a current critic.
Yeah, we're
I feel
critics
like
again.
Bear season 3 and Dream Scenario are like the only things I've ever criticized.
Right. You're not a former critic anymore. You are a full-blown movie critic, TV show critic.
Yeah, but I don't know. That being said, I still really liked it. I don't know, like um yeah. Still good.
Should we talk about like bottoms or something like one day?
Yeah, obviously. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Um
good.
yeah, of course. Ashley really
Yeah,
liked it. Maybe we can bring Ashley on. Maybe we can do like a joint thing, a joint
that would be
episode.
fun. That'd be fun. Can we like reenact some scenes?
Right.
Can we reenact the football scene?
Yeah.
How about like I'll be in the cage in the background, like you know how they have like just a random football player in the cage in like the classroom,
Yeah.
and that I could like dress up as him, and like that's my cosplay for the episode.
Just do your Succession cosplay again.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I like had that open on my phone again for a second. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot it's supposed to be Ken.
Well, see you guys later. Comment your favorite safe words.
What kind of like Nathan for you ass like awkward pause was that at the very end?
Do you drink piss for health benefits? Do you drink children's piss for health benefits?
Sound off below.
Well, we've been the former critics. See ya.
Bye.